This is Ben Summer. I own and operate BandsLikeRush.com, a music discovery podcast and blog featuring up-and-coming progressive rock bands. Enjoy this video edition of the podcast and check out my own music. Visit my website at bensummer.com. If you sign up for the email list, you'll get 3 free downloads. Today I talked to Carl Shultz of the Elf Project, a band that has a sound very much like Rush. I talked with Carl about a number of things, including the challenges of living and working in a relative backwater area for progressive rock, like suburban Albany, which is where he lives. We talked about how Elf Project evolved out of a Rush tribute band that Carl played in previously. We even talk shop a little bit about how he gets his amazing bass sound, which is actually modeled pretty faithfully after Geddy Lee's own muscular, really edgy bass sound. And midway through the podcast, we hear a full-length version of the band's single Serene from their latest album called Mirage. And be sure to listen to the end because we close with another full-length track from Mirage, the song called Lessons. Let's get started.
Lessons out of phase, come along and capture you. Lessons to replace the ebb and flow of life's mistakes.
I'm here with Carl Shultz for the band Elf Project, and he is most definitely in a band like Rush in one sense or another. So, Carl, would you mind just giving us a bit of your background and where you're at, how you came to be, in the band you're in, and just a little bit about yourself and the band?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Well, I'm located up outside of Albany, New York, and been a musician for about 20 years. Started off like a lot of kids in high school, playing in the high school band, and then discovered progressive rock, and it was basically all over from there. I had to play bass, so I've been playing bass for about 20 years, and we always had little bands that we, had little cover bands and stuff like that, and a friend of mine had a 4-track, so we just started writing our own stuff, and this is going back, like I say, about 20 years ago, and Rush has definitely been a huge influence, not only with me, but the other guys that are in the group. The other guys that play in Elf Project, Mike Capodozzi and Dave Wayne, they live here in the same town that I do, and they were hugely influenced by Rush. And once we started playing together, we kind of realized that the music that we were writing had a lot of the Rush influence, and we've basically just been kind of going in that direction ever since. It's not a forced kind of thing. This is just the music that we're writing, and of course there's also the Rush tribute band, which that was a culmination of playing in different Rush tribute bands over the years, Archives and Hemispheres, and we would play all these gigs, and I would try to record them with just like a room microphone or something like that, and it was always frustrating to hear these playbacks because it sounded like doo-doo. So just decided, let's give it a shot. Let's do a studio recording. And over the years, of course, we've certainly upgraded from a 4-track, and I've got a home studio. And so we began recording here just kind of for fun, really, so we could get a good recording. And that was in '06 when I started that project. I'm sorry, '05. And as we got going with it, I brought in a friend of mine that's an audio engineer, and he helped out with it. And it started sounding really good. So we started shopping it around to some labels, and Eclipse Records picked it up, and that came out the same day that the Snakes and Arrows CD came out. And we've had a little bit of success with it. We've kind of dropped the Rush tribute thing to focus in on our own stuff, and that's where our attention has been at for the last couple of years.
So this is Elf Project we were just talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so Elf Project evolved from your tribute band's Hemispheres? Is that it?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's basically what happened. I mean, we always kind of, we'd write songs on our own and with different musicians here in the area, but the core that was the Rush tribute band has turned into the Elf Project since '06.
Right. Cool. So when you were shopping the stuff, when you were playing out live as the tribute band, were you starting to slip into your own original stuff, or it's when you decided you guys had ideas of your own that you went to the studio and wrote stuff fresh?
Well, we always kept the Rush tribute thing. When we were going with that thing, we had 3 sets of material that was all Rush, so our hands were definitely full with that. That's a long performance, so we didn't do any of our original stuff, and we figured, hey, if people are going to come out to a bar or a club or whatever and see a Rush tribute band, they don't want to be bothered with somebody's original music.
Right.
So that was our focus. But, on the side, we were writing our own stuff, and we just, we're all getting a little bit older, and we realized, it's a lot of fun to play Rush music, but we got to do our own thing.
Right. So when you said, one curious thing you said earlier, you had to play bass, you fell in love with prog rock, and did you mean to say that you had to play bass? Good. I only ask you because you're the vocalist and the bassist, and I don't know if it's conscious, but I see this. I was the bassist and vocalist in a garage band in high school that we played a lot of Rush, and I'm interviewing this other guy in a few weeks. Same deal. Is there something to that?
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird like that, isn't it? I don't know. Geddy Lee definitely. I don't know. I love the idea of the 3-piece, and I think the first time I saw Rush, I was in 10th grade, and I remember watching him do all of this stuff, and I was just like, that is really cool. I mean, vocals, bass, keyboards, samples, foot pedals, everything. Yeah. And I was really blown away by it. I'm also a huge Yes fan, Chris Squire fan as well, and but just I like the idea of the 3-piece, and I don't know, over time it just kind of it's not a hard thing to do at this point. You just kind of learn these different moves, and it just kind of comes together.
Right. So what's the label you're on again?
The Rush tribute is on the Eclipse Records label, and Elf Project is signed to 10T Records, and they're based out of Charleston, South Carolina. Right.
I knew there was a connection. So when I checked out your website, which I'll post on the site, Flutter Effect is a co-band of yours on the same label.
That's right.
And
that's right.
So they're like the second or third interview I did for the site. I know they're in the same major prog rock genre. Obviously not super Rush clones, but I reached out to them mainly because I like their music and they're in the Boston area. So that's and I imagine I could just go down the catalog of that label, which has got some pretty good bands, and just pick and choose each one to interview. It's some pretty good music.
Yeah, they've got some different stuff on there. It's not all progressive rock. They're a well-rounded label, and that's really their MO. Prog is a big thing for them, but they've got some Christian stuff on there. Whatever you would call contemporary. They're trying to not just be pigeonholed as a progressive rock label.
Right, cool. So another connection, and this is super ironic. A friend of mine, Peter Richards, who I gather you've heard,
He's from my area.
Yeah, so a week or two before you even emailed me, which is a cold email from a link on rushasaband.com, he knew what I was up to, said, hey, I got this buddy who you might want to check out. So when you emailed me, I thought that Peter put you up to it.
No.
Isn't that ironic? Totally.
Not at all. And when you said Peter Richards, I had to scratch my head. I'm like, because I'm not really tight with him. He's a good friend, actually, of my next door neighbor.
Oh.
And last year, our guitar player in Elf Project, another friend of mine, Israel Stark, he quit the group, and I was kind of reaching out to people to see who would be interested, and I knew that Peter played, and I know that he's good. And he came over one day, and we kind of ran. I gave him the music. We listened to the tunes. He's like, "All right, let me get back to you." And I never really heard from him again. And my friend that was in the Rush tribute band with me, Mike Capodozzi, stepped in. He's like, "Yeah, I want to do this." So he's been with us ever since.
Can I just?
But it's
that's so
small world.
That's so. Can I just say that's so Peter? He is super talented. I didn't go to school with him, but I came years after him at UMass Amherst. That's where we met as a grad student. And he's a talented composer. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's a talented composer and a good player, but he has an inferiority complex to match no others.
I definitely sense that. Like I say, he's good friends with my neighbor, and she introduced us a while ago, and she even said to me, she's like, "Yeah, it's hard to get him out of that, out of his comfort zone and get him to do things." And I thought, well, hey, maybe if he likes the tunes, that'll be good for him. Get him out,
Yeah, well, try again. If you ever lose another guitarist, give him another shot, because he's a sharp guy.
Because he called me a couple of weeks after we met, and he's just like, "Yeah, I've got all this stuff put together whenever you're ready." And I was like, "Shit, I haven't heard from you in so long." The other guy has stepped up to the plate.
Oh, shoot.
And this other friend of mine, Mike Capodozzi, I've known him a long, long time. And so, I have quite a lot of loyalty to my friend Mike.
Yeah. So stars will align again someday.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So that's 3 degrees of bands like Rush. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Now, if you don't mind me asking, where are you located?
I'm now in the outside of Boston area. I moved closer to the city, south of Boston, and I still maintain contacts with folks out there.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm out here just doing my own thing, and frankly, the site started up kind of when I was starting the baby steps to launch my own music career. So as you can imagine, Peter and I and our friends have been futzing around for years after grad school. So.
Yeah.
This is part of a co-marketing effort, but it's also because I love the music and like to long term want to make acquaintances and friends in the industry, versus trying to beat people over the head with some slick marketing campaign. So
right,
that's kind of my angle.
Right. I've got good. Are you near Medford at all?
The same distance south of Boston.
Okay. Yeah, I've got some good friends out there.
No, it's a hopping city. A lot of interesting music. The whole area.
Absolutely.
So going back to your music, couple comments. I mean, I almost. You're the lead singer, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I really like the music, and it's almost as though your original stuff. It's almost as though if Rush came out with that, I would be like super psyched, because it's really, it's got elements of the old stuff that we like. It's still got some of the, it's still a bit harder edged, as is the more recent Rush, and
right.
And it's, and I don't want to use this word pejoratively, but derivative in the best sense. So
yeah, right.
And that's just a fact, and it must be just a product of you having been in the tribute band, vein for so long. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I think because it's not the kind of music where you're just like, hey, let's play some Rush tunes. I mean, you've got to sit down with this stuff. Everybody's got to learn their parts before you even get in the room together. And then when you come together, it all falls into place. So when you study that stuff, and, it can't help but rub off on your own writing, and it's not like anything that we're trying to cop. It's just that's where we're at. It's like, hey, I got a riff, and it's like, okay, you play on it. You're like, yeah, that kind of sounds like something Rush would do. So you just kind of roll with it.
Although two modifiers to that. Well, before I try to contrast the similarities again, your voice is even the inflections and the way you say words that end with I it's, I don't know if you can tell, but it's all Geddy all day. Some, you know, and a lot of phrases. And it's, I like it. I love it. But are you aware of that?
No, because I'm just doing this what comes naturally. And being also the lyric writer, I've got to find the rhythm